Before the first note is even sung, before the judges lift their pens or the crowd decides whether to clap or doubt, let me ask you something: have you ever heard a voice so powerful it made you forget where you were? The kind of voice that stops conversations, silences judgment, and makes even the toughest critic lean forward without realizing it. Stay with this story until the very end, because what happens on that stage will change everything you think you know about talent, struggle, and destiny. And if stories like this move your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because moments like these deserve to be shared. The lights of America's Got Talent burned bright, but backstage, 17-year-old Miguel Santos felt cold. His hands trembled as he held a small, worn-out guitar, its edges scratched, its strings replaced more times than he could remember. Miguel wasn't nervous because of the judges or the millions watching at home. He was nervous because this stage represented something bigger than a performance. It represented his mother washing clothes late into the night, his father leaving for overseas work and never returning, and the countless evenings Miguel sang Elvis Presley songs in a tiny Filipino neighborhood just to drown out the sound of hunger and hopelessness. Growing up in Cebu, Miguel's world was small. Their home was a single room with a leaky roof, and music was the only luxury they could afford because it didn't cost anything. His mother used to play old Elvis records on a battered radio, the sound crackling but magical. Miguel didn't understand the English words at first, but he understood the emotion. When Elvis sang, it felt like pain and hope were living in the same breath. Miguel copied every note, every shake in the voice, every quiet pause between the lyrics. Neighbors would stop outside their window, listening, whispering, "That boy sings like he was born for this." But talent doesn't erase struggle. Miguel faced rejection long before he reached the AGT stage. Local competitions told him he sounded too old-fashioned. Some judges laughed when he chose Elvis instead of pop songs. Others told him to change his voice, to be more modern, to be someone else. Each rejection cut deep, but every night, Miguel returned home, sat beside his mother, and sang again. She never clapped loudly or shouted praise. She just smiled, closed her eyes, and said softly, "Sing from your heart. That's enough." Now, standing behind the curtain in Los Angeles, Miguel repeated those words in his mind. When the stage manager called his name, his legs felt weak, but he walked out anyway. The crowd applauded politely, unsure of what to expect. The judges watched carefully. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He had heard thousands of singers. Too many, some amazing, most forgettable. Miguel introduced himself in a quiet voice, his accent thick but his eyes honest. He talked about his home, his mother, and how Elvis helped him survive hard days. Simon raised an eyebrow. "So you think you can sing Elvis better than Elvis?" Simon asked, half smiling. The audience laughed gently. Miguel swallowed, then nodded. "I don't sing better," he said. "I sing with my life." The music began slowly. Just a few soft guitar notes. Miguel closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and sang the first line. Instantly, something changed in the room. His voice wasn't loud, it was deep, rich, and controlled, carrying pain and warmth at the same time. The crowd went quiet. Simon's smile faded. He leaned forward. As Miguel continued, his voice grew stronger, soaring but never losing control. It didn't sound like imitation. It sounded like respect, like a soul speaking through a familiar melody. When he reached the chorus, the emotion hit hard. People in the audience wiped their eyes. One judge's mouth hung open. Simon didn't blink. Miguel thought of his mother as he sang the final lines. He thought of the night she skipped meals so he could eat, the time she told him not to give up even when the world said no. His voice cracked slightly at the last note, not from weakness, but from truth. When the music stopped, there was a heartbeat of silence, then the theater exploded, the crowd rose to their feet, cheering, shouting, crying. The judges stood. All of them. Simon Cowell stayed seated for a moment longer, staring at Miguel as if trying to understand what he had just witnessed. Finally, he stood too, slowly, and clapped. The applause felt endless. Simon was the last to speak. When he did, his voice was calm, but his words carried weight. He said he had heard Elvis songs his entire life, and never once had someone made him feel them in a new way until now. That wasn't just singing, Simon said. That was storytelling. and I am genuinely speechless." Miguel couldn't stop crying. He covered his face, overwhelmed. The judges voted yes, every single one. As confetti fell and the crowd chanted his name, Miguel searched the audience for one person. When he found his mother standing there, hands shaking, tears streaming down her face, he knew this moment belonged to both of them. That night didn't just change Miguel's life. It reminded everyone watching that greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from perseverance, from holding on to hope when nothing else is certain. A boy from a small Filipino neighborhood didn't just sing an Elvis song, he sang his truth, and the world listened. So if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever felt invisible, remember Miguel's voice echoing through that theater. Talent finds its way. Dreams survive hardship. And sometimes, all it takes is one song to silence even the loudest doubts. If this story inspired you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us, because the next miracle might be even closer than you think.